Emma had always been an adventurous soul, eager to explore the hidden corners of the world. When she planned her solo road trip through the remote mountains, her friends warned her about the dangers of traveling alone, but she brushed off their concerns. To her, the open road was freedom, a chance to escape the mundanity of daily life and find peace in the quiet of nature. On the third day of her journey, Emma found herself driving along a winding, deserted mountain road. The sun was setting, casting long shadows that danced across the forested hills. She had lost cell service hours ago, and her GPS was struggling to keep up with the twists and turns. A sense of unease began to settle in her stomach as she realized she was completely alone, miles away from any semblance of civilization. As she rounded a bend, Emma spotted a sign that read, "Old Creek Road." She didn't remember seeing it on her map, but she was tired, and the road seemed like a shortcut to her next destination. Without thinking, she took the turn. The road was narrow, flanked by thick trees that seemed to close in around her car, blocking out what little light remained. Emma drove slowly, feeling the unsettling quiet of the forest press against the car windows. It was as if the world beyond her headlights had ceased to exist. The road became rougher, riddled with potholes and loose gravel that rattled her vehicle. She regretted taking the unfamiliar path, but kept moving forward, hoping to find a place to turn around. After another 10 minutes, she spotted a small, dilapidated house on the side of the road. It was old, with peeling paint, and windows that seemed to be staring at her like dark, empty eyes. A faded wooden sign in the front yard read, "Miller's Family Inn." The place looked abandoned, but the flicker of a dim light from inside suggested otherwise. Emma pulled over, thinking she could ask for directions. As she stepped out of the car, the cold mountain air sent a shiver down her spine. The silence was deafening, broken only by the soft rustle of leaves. She approached the house, her footsteps crunching on the gravel driveway. The front porch creaked under her weight, and the door, slightly ajar, swung open with a slow, eerie moan. "Hello?" Emma called out, her voice echoing through the empty hall. No response. She hesitated, glancing back at her car, but curiosity got the better of her. She pushed the door open and stepped inside. The house smelled of damp wood and mold, and the faint light she had seen was coming from an old oil lamp sitting on a rickety table. The walls were lined with old photographs, faded images of a family that must have lived there decades ago. A man, a woman, and 2 children, all smiling, their eyes gleaming with a joy that felt out of place in the decaying house. As Emma examined the pictures, she noticed something strange. In each photo, the family members were posed in the same positions, their smiles fixed. But in the background, there was always a shadowy figure, barely visible, yet distinctly there. A chill ran down Emma's spine as she moved to another room. The furniture was covered in dust, and the air felt thick, as if it hadn't been disturbed in years. Suddenly, she heard a faint, rhythmic tapping coming from upstairs. It was slow, deliberate, almost like the sound of someone knocking lightly on a door. Emma's heart pounded in her chest. She should have left right then, but something compelled her to move forward. She climbed the narrow staircase, each step creaking loudly beneath her feet. The tapping grew louder, leading her to a door at the end of the hall. She reached for the handle, hesitating as the noise suddenly stopped. Summoning her courage, she pushed the door open. The room was empty, save for a single rocking chair in the corner, gently swaying back and forth, as if someone had just been sitting there. The walls were lined with more photographs, each one capturing the same family, but now their smiles were gone, replaced with expressions of fear and terror. In every picture, the shadowy figure had moved closer, its features more defined. Emma backed away, her breath hitching as she heard the unmistakable sound of footsteps behind her. She spun around, but the hallway was empty. Panic set in, and she bolted down the stairs, desperate to get out of the house. As she reached the front door, it slammed shut, trapping her inside. She pulled at the handle, but it wouldn't budge. From the corner of her eye, Emma saw movement. The family from the photographs stood in the living room, their faces twisted in agony, their eyes pleading for help. Behind them, the shadowy figure loomed, now fully visible, a tall, gaunt man with hollow eyes and a sinister grin. Emma stumbled back, her mind racing. She needed to escape, but every door she tried was locked. The walls seemed to close in, and the air grew colder. The shadowy man stepped forward, reaching out with skeletal hands. Emma's vision blurred as darkness enveloped her. And the last thing she heard was the faint, rhythmic tapping echoing in her mind. When Emma's friends reported her missing, authorities searched the mountain, but Old Creek Road was never found on any map. No one knew of a place called Miller's Family Inn, and Emma's car was discovered abandoned on the side of the main road, miles away from any known turnoff. She was never seen again, but locals say that on quiet nights, if you drive through the mountains and listen closely, you can still hear the faint sound of tapping, as if something or someone is waiting for you to take the wrong turn.